A nerve impulse called an action potential travels down a motor neuron and reaches the axon terminals on the muscle fiber at a place called the neuromuscular junction. Calcium ions then move into the terminal via voltage-gated channels, and the ions cause acetylcholine to exit the axon terminal, enter the synaptic cleft, and bind to the sarcomere's acetylcholine receptors, which are called ligand-gated channels. This causes the channels to open, allowing sodium ions to enter the muscle fiber and potassium ions to exit. And there are more sodium ions entering than there are potassium ions that are leaving. And this causes a local change in the membrane potential. It causes the membrane to become depolarized. The intracellular area of the membrane becomes less negative. And once the membrane potential reaches a voltage level called the end plate potential, ion channels open up all along the sarcolemma, spreading the depolarization and spreading an action potential out across the muscle fiber. And the next step is that the action potential spreads in the T-tubules and causes the tubule proteins to alter, and they in turn cause the sarcoplasmic reticulum. They in turn cause the sarcoplasmic reticulum's release channels to open up, allowing calcium ions to permeate the muscle fiber cytosol. And next, the calcium ions then bind to the troponin on the actin filaments, and their shape change causes tropomyosin to stop blocking the myosin binding sites on the filaments. And then to start the cross-bridge cycle, the myosin head becomes energized thanks to ATP hydrolyzing to ADP and inorganic phosphate, and connects to an actin filament. And then the myosin head then loses the inorganic phosphate and ADP and pulls the filament, pivoting, to use the book's word, which slides the filament closer to the sarcomere center. And the next step centers around the myosin head and the thin filament disconnecting after another ATP attaches to the myosin head, and the ATP hydrolyzes, and this re-energizes the head, which straightens and is ready to link to the thin filament again, to another binding site, ready to repeat the cycle.